Shalom and greetings.
Hey, everybody,
Pastor Joe here
and Lady Lynnette.
for the final edition
Oh,
of this month of After Hours with Pastor Joe and Lady Lynnette. How's it been, dear?
So dramatic. It's been amazing. I can't believe that this is the last episode.
I know.
We've had so much fun.
Womp, 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 womp.
And they seem to enjoy it too. You guys, your comments, your emails.
Yeah.
Everybody seems to at least have found a couple of nuggets.
So if you're watching this and you've been a repeater, welcome back. Hopefully we've covered a vast array of things. From insurance, debt strategies, credit, all of these things. So let me tell you what we're doing. At Salem Bible Church, the place of peace, Atlanta and Stonecrest. On the first Sunday in June, that's next Sunday, we are starting All Tithe Day. All Tithe Day is where we're getting every participant, every person who's associated with Salem Bible Church to give God the 10%. That's the tithe. But secondly, to save the 10%. And then thirdly, to live off of the 80%. That's the whole purpose. It's not just about tithing, but it's about saving and it's about living as well. Give, save, live. So we know that one of the primary reasons why people do not tithe who desire to tithe is because of debt. One of the primary reasons why people don't save who desire to save is because of debt. So not only are we initiating this particular new era and season called Give, Save, Live, but what we are also doing is we want to bring in speakers who can help people get out of debt, improve credit, create debt strategies, all of those things that most people get caught up into when we're young. Do you remember when you went to college and you got all those credit cards?
Oh yeah, I was like, oh, I'm an adult now. I can buy what I want to buy, because that's the thing, right? Your parents give you a limit and allowance. Now I can buy whatever I want to buy.
What was the dumbest thing you think you used credit for when you were younger?
Oh.
If you had to say. I know what I'm thinking. Clothes.
I would just go to the mall.
That's 10 times better than mine.
Oh.
Mine's the worst.
What's yours?
I bought a motorcycle on my credit card.
Now you didn't have no business.
I had a Discover card and the limit looked like the sky. And that was back during the time where I didn't really, you're young and you just
don't know.
But when I realized the error of my ways, I made an adjustment then and I paid it off in like 18 months. But still, it was pretty dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good thing that you've evolved from there, babe.
Yeah. So on this evening, we are going to try to culminate this conversation in an exciting way. We try to bring up different, subject matters
with real life examples.
So Lynnette, one thing that I know, and that is people pay attention to everything but what they should.
That's true.
And something happened on the 16th of May, and I'm going to read it.
Please
and
do.
We're going to read it because this is going to be the foundation of tonight's conversation.
All right.
On May the 16th, Moody's ratings. Now, before you ask what Moody's is, think about Equifax. Think about what's the other one? TransUnion. And whatever the other one is that rates Experian. Yeah, you know all of them. All right. So those are the credit bureaus that give individual beacon scores or credit ratings that is basically based upon your income, your debt to income ratio, how much revolving credit, how many different revolving lines of credit that you have. So it goes through, it takes a bunch of different metrics and it creates a score, which lets lending agencies know your likelihood or how efficient you are at carrying debt, i.e. a mortgage, car note, even phone companies.
How risky are you?
So what a lot of people don't know is there are different ratings agencies that do the same thing for countries. Okay. And I want you all to listen to this. On May 16th, Moody's rating downgraded the United States credit rating, citing an inability of the nation to address large and growing deficits. This downgrade means that for the first time ever, say that ever. All three major credit rating agencies have downgraded the United States credit below their top rating.
That's wild.
This is huge, Lynette, because this hasn't happened since 1917.
That's crazy.
So let's put this in perspective. Our country went from a AAA to a AA1, which is the next rating down. So the country still has good credit, but it doesn't have perfect credit. That's like going from a 850 to maybe a 700 credit score. Still good, but it's a lot of things that you're not going to be able to do. Is going to be affected by a lot of things. So when you and I first talked about this, in all honesty, what did you feel? Good, bad, or indifferent? Were you like, what's the big deal? Because you haven't heard news on this, have you?
No news outlet has covered this at all. And initially, when I first heard about it, I knew it was a big deal.
Yeah.
For something not to have happened since 1917 and for us to be living in it, I'm like, oh, this is bad. Okay. Yeah. But I didn't really understand the breadth of like what it actually would mean. Yeah. And I think we're going to get into rolling out, month after month, year after year, what that really looks like, because sometimes you don't get stuff until it comes down your row. And like in theory, it's like, oh, okay, no big deal. We still have great credit, which we do, but it's much bigger than that, because I know how hard I worked to get my credit up, so
it's from great to good. Now, what's the purpose of us covering this? Because we believe that in leading our people in this give, save, live, that people need to be challenged to give God the tithe and to understand why. And we've covered that.
Yes.
But people also need to understand the importance of saving. When you're living in a climate like we're living in now, to where the country's debt, because we're getting to the point, Lynnette, our country is in almost $37 trillion worth of debt.
With a T.
With a T.
Yeah.
37 trillion. $37 trillion. You get to a point whereby if you as an individual continuously borrow more than what you make, you're going bankrupt. And what we see that we just shared with you all, the Moody's rating going down, is one of the first wrinkles to let you know that is in the near future if something doesn't change.
Yes.
So our objective on this evening is not to just tell you and to teach you about give, save, live, the importance of tithing, the importance of savings. But what Lynnette and I want to do is we want to take what we shared with you, and you all can do your own research. We want to show you 5 different areas of how what we've just said is going to affect the ordinary, regular American. That's just like you and I, maybe a family. Maybe it's an older retired couple. Maybe it's a young single person or a young couple. So the fact of the matter is, it's sad that this hasn't gotten traction.
I know. Well, it's not profitable, right? So if the news outlets don't say anything, because we don't read, we just look at the news to frame our frame of what's important or not. Nevertheless, so the news isn't going to talk about it, because if they do, then people are going to start pulling money out of their stocks. People at the top are going to stop making as much money as they do.
Yeah.
And people are not going to travel as much because they're going to need to save. And so that's bad for business.
Yeah. So let's go over it.
Let's do.
So we're going to tell you 5 different areas of how this is going to impact all Americans. But we're also going to include within Lynnette 5 things that they can do to prepare for it.
Love that.
We want to prepare our people.
Yes.
Not only spiritually, but practically. So let's jump.
I love that.
To it.
And I love too when you were talking in the sermon this week about spiritual practices, but actually living it out practically. Because yes, you can pray. Yes, you can abide by what God talks about is, bringing all the tithes to the storehouse. But how can I practically do that? And honoring God through the tithe and honoring God through the savings. That's what like really keeps me anchored in, what we're doing for our people and with our people.
Right.
It's like, I want to honor God. Like, I don't want to just honor God in my word. I want to
Yeah.
honor him in my doing. So
I agree.
Yeah.
100%. Ready?
ready.
All right. First area that's going to impact Americans. Number one, higher borrowing cost. Interest rates on mortgage, auto loans, and credit cards are likely to raise as lenders adjust to the perceived increased risk. Now, when you go to a dealership and you see that car that you like,
Yeah.
you got the color, the interior,
Mm-hmm.
it's moving you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you go back to that back room and you submit your credit, and your credit is a 670 versus somebody's credit being an 800.
Mm-hmm.
That car note could be the difference of $150 to $200 a month.
Yeah. Times 72 months.
Because the lower your credit score, the higher the risk you are to the lending institution.
Yep.
So this means if you're a higher risk, they have to make up for that risk by increasing your interest rate.
Yep.
So if you all understand that the same way that is applied to individuals, this is what the credit score is going to do. Interest rates on mortgages, auto loans, and credit cards. Now, what can people do? All right. The things that people can do is you can lock in fixed rates. For those of us who bought houses, let's say prior to 2022, when mortgage rates, interest rates were almost nil.
Yeah.
Remember during
right
COVID?
after COVID. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
For those of us who bought, you got that interest rate, you don't need to sell that house
Ever.
if you can. If you need to make the house that you got now your forever house.
Yeah, make it work. Okay, whoever's in it, make it work.
Because we're getting to the point where as interest rates are climbing, you're not going to be able to replace your house, first of all, at the cost that you bought it. And secondly, the interest is going up.
Yep.
So it's almost better to hold on to your house. That's real talk.
Real talk.
So locking into fixed rate, if you got any type of adjustable mortgage, you need to lock it in now, because whatever the interest rates are now, they're going up.
Yes.
All right.
That's a good point too. And make certain that you know when your term ends.
Yes.
Because it's the index plus whatever the APR is. So the index can be sky high. So to your point, make certain that you're educated on, if you are not in a fixed mortgage, to figure out when if it's a 15-year arm, if it's a 20, 30-year arm, make sure you do that.
2, you can refinance existing loans. So look upon this as a basically the weather report of the future of finances. What we just said in terms of Moody downgrading America's credit, all 3 agencies for the first time has downgraded from perfect credit to 1A credit. This is going to adjust. So what you can do is not only lock in those rates, but this is a good time to refinance if you're not locked in. Why? Because we're not going to have times whereby interest rates on cars and houses are going to be lower than they are now.
Correct.
Hold tight 1 second. Baby, we're recording. We'll see you in a minute, okay? Excuse us, children.
Y'all know how that is.
All right. Ready for the second one?
Yes.
Increased consumer prices. Now, a weaker US dollar. Now, keep in mind, as America's credit rating drops, the valuation of the dollar is going to drop. All right. As a weaker US dollar resulting from a downgrade of credit can make imports more expensive, leading to higher prices for goods. So what we have to understand, ladies and gentlemen, is tariffs are already on the table. We already have this uncertainty of the future. Lynnette can't buy her Temu anymore.
The shame.
Nobody knows what's going to happen with China. This is going to add to that.
Yes. Because
when credit is decreased, US dollar is not going to be as strong. So basically, I'm sorry to interrupt you. So basically, would it be a fair assessment to say that my dollar
is going to continually potentially buy less and less.
Absolutely.
So when we're thinking about groceries, when we're thinking about, I mean, just essentials, right? Not even.
It's up.
It's up.
Yes. So what can we do, and how can people be prepared for a weaker US dollar? And the sad thing about it is that this isn't like if this happens. This is coming.
Yeah.
Okay. I hate, we don't mean to be bearers of bad news. We want to be bearers of the truth, so people can prepare, because knowledge is
power.
I just knew you were going to fumble it.
Yeah. Oh, ye of little faith.
So what can we do? A weaker US dollar resulting from downgrade can make imports more expensive. What can we do? Two things. One, budget wisely.
We talked about budget.
We talked about budgeting. If ever there were a time that every household was under a budget, this is the time.
Yeah.
There's X amount of dollars that we need to be spending towards ABC 1, 2, 3. Second, a lot of people don't take this into consideration because we've been so accustomed to Amazon life, and 70% of stuff on Amazon is made in China. But we can support local products. Buying domestically produced goods can sometimes be more cost effective and supports the local economy.
Yes.
A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
All right. Now, a lot of things that we can do in terms of prices, or another tip that I like to tell people in terms of like a grocery cost, is if you Google local farms near me, you can find a plethora of options. People that sell local honey,
very true,
eggs, chickens, lamb, beef. You'll be surprised. Now, you never see it because these smaller farms are not advertising on commercials. And all of us as Americans, we're so caught up on market foods. So the foods that you get from Publix down here, Kroger, if you go to Walmart. But what a lot of people don't know is those different organizations get all their food from the same places. The packaging is different.
Yeah.
So the quality of food that you find at Kroger, at Publix, is not going to be of equal ilk that you would a local farm, where a chicken is not eating soy tablets.
Yeah.
But they're eating bugs and other things that they're supposed to eat. And when you see the yolk, it looks like it's red or deep orange instead of pale yellow.
Yeah, yellow in air quotes.
All right.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we can do towards increasing cost is to buy locally. Because if things are grown here, if things are sold here, we can circumvent some of the tariffs, and that can help ease the pain of what we're experiencing.
Yes.
I think that's a good game.
Yeah, amongst other things, right? So not only will it do that with supporting local, but you want to keep your money in your neighborhood, in your community, and so that you can have more resources. You see a lot of small businesses, shutting down, and small business isn't just the Monday after Black Friday, right? It's or the Saturday after Black Friday. It should be every day. But I agree. That's a great tip.
Number three. Potential cuts to public services. It's a big one.
Yeah.
The government may face higher borrowing costs. Now, why is the government experiencing higher? The government borrows money as well. So if your credit rating is going down, what's going to happen as you're borrowing money? The price is going to go up. This is going to cause the prices of everything to increase, including government service. The government may face higher borrowing costs, leading to budget constraints that could affect public services and programs. Now, this is very, very important, because on the 17th of May, you partnered with Sunshine Brotherhood Community Foundation, salute to Ty Sampson, and Miss Aaron over at Bagel Rescue.
Yes.
And tell them what you did.
So we had an amazing time. We came together to make sandwiches, to have bagels and breads handed out in our mobile pantry that happens on the 2nd and 4th Thursday of each month at our 2 locations. But we did a special Saturday edition where we did that, and we handed them right to the community. And it was amazing.
Yeah. It really was. Now, the reason why I bring that up is because the Sunshine Brotherhood Community Foundation that we use, that's the ministry that distributes food. And in both of our churches, we probably are one of the most involved ministries in both Atlanta and the area that we're in, 30318, as well as the Stonecrest community, in a positive way. Literally, if it weren't for those two ministries, there are many people who just wouldn't eat.
Yes.
Now, we're seeing on the ground the sparseness of the food.
Yes, unfortunately.
Our director Ty Sampson, talks all the time that it's harder and harder to get food. It's harder and harder to get supplies. And what's happening is the granting dollars and the public services that are funded by state and the federal government are dwindling. What we are telling and teaching you all in terms of how Moody has downgraded America's credit is going to make situations like this harder and harder.
Yes.
Now, in the bill that was just passed, it has to go through the Senate, that the President Trump passed. There are a lot of services that have been cut. One are basically food stamps.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's called SNAP.
Yes.
Okay. This is a lot of individuals who are relying on the government to eat. It's not going to be there. So what's going to happen is, when the government can't feed people, where are they coming? They're coming to the churches.
Yeah.
They're coming to the soup kitchens. They're coming to these different community organizations that have the money, the Atlanta Food Bank. So when the government isn't giving out these dollars and the churches aren't able to get the resources, what's going to happen? This is when the reality of what we're saying is going to set in.
Right.
And there are things that we have to do. And one of the things that we really, really have to do, Lynnette, we have to learn how to quit taking our addiction to restaurants. We eat in restaurants too much.
Way too much.
Food is 300% higher. Alcohol is even higher. We could really offstave a lot of the financial constraints just by preparing our own meals.
Yeah. Yeah. And restaurants know that.
They know it. We went to a restaurant, a steakhouse, a few weeks ago. I got a 14-ounce strip, and it was $72.
That could be
with no sides, Lynnette. It was the only side was the plate.
It was the meat. That was it.
$72.
That one meal could feed a family of 4 for at least 2 meals.
Right. You could feed a family of 4 for probably 3 days on that.
Yeah. It's crazy. And people are buying it. They're buying into the hype of it.
We need to be more mindful of, at our churches, creating gardens like we have. We've got Canaan Farms. Canaan Farms is at our church, was the first registered garden in 30318. Now, the Atlanta location is in an area that has some of the highest areas and numbers of diabetes in the state of Georgia. So we started our local garden. It's been funded successfully each and every year. Salute to Farmer Fred.
Yes.
And all of our volunteers, Mrs. C, Mrs. Sharif, all the other great people that keep it. I mean, we're growing squash and peppers and plums and peaches and cabbage and
greens.
Yeah, so we got fall plantings and spring and summer and winter all year round. Now, what's the point? The point is, churches need to be in the position to where they use some of their land to start these gardens and to educate people. If people can switch their minds outside of let me Uber Dash, what's it called? DoorDash, Uber Eats, going to restaurants. We need to go back to how our grandparents were.
Yeah.
Where they grew things. Now, technology has advanced to the point to where you can have micro gardens. You can start off small. You can grow your tomatoes and your squash.
Your herbs and spices.
Literally, when you learn how inexpensive it is, and when you start growing, the ground is going to yield so much to where you're not going to even be able to.
Yes.
People need to learn this. Children need to learn this. Where are children being taught farming skills? Okay, these are things that may sound crazy, but these are things that we can do to plan for this.
And we're in the times now, so we just have to do things differently. If you want a different result, you're going to have to do things differently. So,
amen. 2 more things. 4th area are impacts on investments. Now, market volatility may increase as investors react to the downgrade, potentially affecting retirement accounts and other investments. There's a time to where the United States stock market was a shoe-in. All you have to do is they tell you just keep your money in there. Don't give up. When you see drops and you see all this, keep in there. But we're to the point now to where if the US dollar is weakening, then investors are not going to be as desiring to put monies in a country that has a downgraded credit rating. So what does that mean? That means the two ways that we can prepare for this is one, by the diversification of your portfolio. This would be a good time to reach out to your financial advisor. What do you have my investments in? Ensure your investments are spread across various asset classes to mitigate risk.
Asset classes meaning high risk, low interest, mutual funds, all that jazz.
CDs, bonds, right? Right. So the younger you are, the more you can afford risky investments because you got more time. But the older you are or the closer you are to retirement, the more those investments need to be conservative. These are conversations that need to be had now. You need to be calling your financial advisor and say, hey, what does this mean? They may not even, if your financial investors do not know what we are teaching you, fire them.
Immediately.
If they can't tell you, oh yes, if they don't know anything about what, you shouldn't have a pastor and first lady with knowledge that you're in the people that are handling your money. They should know this. We just want to have the conversation to make it 360.
Right.
Okay. So
and to really empower you with the ability to say, you know what, I may not know all of this stuff, but I do have some resources in after hours with Pastor Joe and Lady Lynnette. And let me reach out to the people that can give me the rest. Yeah.
They the pros, not us.
Right.
And if it's Genesis to Revelation,
you got them.
We got you. All right. Fifth, stricter lending standards. Now, banks may tighten lending criteria, making it more challenging to obtain loans or credit. And right now, we are in the midst of so many auto repossessions. It's at an all-time high. People walking away because it's changing. Now, we're experiencing this before the impacts of the downgraded credit score has even fully manifested. All right, so how do we prepare for that? Two things. One, improve your credit score. Having good credit is always a good thing. Paying your bills on time. And actually, there's a strategy to pay your bills before they're due. It helps your credit more. A lot of people don't know that. Reduce outstanding debts. Check your credit report for errors. Okay. Secondly, maintain financial records. Keep thorough documentation of your income and expenses to support loan applications. We're going to have to be more hawkish with how we care for our credit because your good credit is going to be more valuable to you in a time whereby they're tightening lending or making that noose tighter in terms of, so this is a must.
Yeah. And, there used to be a time, I'm sure that you probably remember that there was a time where money was, cash is king, right? It was like the era of cash is king. Now people don't really care how much money you have. What's your credit? Because I'm looking at you as a big risk.
Yeah.
So the lower your credit score, the higher the risk you are. And people are not willing to take risks now.
Yeah. What are three easy things people can do to lower their expenses on a monthly basis? Number one, stop eating in restaurants. Take whatever you're doing, cut it in half. Right there, you're going to save hundreds of dollars. Okay. All right. The second thing we can do is have a budget. Know where your money is going. Most people spend money and have no clue that a large percentage of what you make goes towards stuff that you don't even know where it is. Number three, be healthy. The healthier you are, the less money you're going to spend on insulin. Do you know the average diabetic in this country is spending probably about $300 a month?
Is it that high?
Yes.
$300 a month on insulin?
Things that
or
connected to diabetes. So either testing strips, blood sugar monitors,
wow, co-pays to go to
or anything that's related to it.
That's wild. That is
what can you do in your household with $300 extra a month?
Hello.
Think about that.
A lot.
What could that pay for? What does that look like over a year? What does that look like over 5 years? You know, we really have to realize, and I said this earlier in the message, that we as Americans, we've had it good
for a long time.
And what has become normal to us is a thing of the past. This getting up, going to college, to all the young people, opening up student loans may be one of the worst things ever.
Yeah.
We are to the point now to where a lot of kids who are going to college may be better off getting a trade. See, that was something that was unheard of in our generation.
Correct.
Nobody wanted to be a plumber when Lynnette and I went to college. I'm not saying nobody, but I'm saying it wasn't the
it wasn't the thing.
Electricians, plumbers, HVAC technicians, they're making more than doctors.
Yeah, they making 6 figures with no overhead.
They making more than people with PhDs.
Yeah, making their own schedule.
All right.
Most times.
So a lot of our peers went to school, got degrees that aren't even paying back the loans that they had to take out to get them.
And probably not even in the field that they got the degree in.
Now, when our parents' generation went to school, they worked. There was no such thing as student loans to baby boomers.
Yeah.
So we've gotten to the point where everything we do, we put it on credit. We don't save. You know, we move every 7 to 10 years. We upgrade the car. Those days are over.
Yeah.
As we know, we're to the point now to where people can't even live in the same city that they work.
Very true.
And you know what else is happening that nobody's talking about?
What?
People having fewer children.
Yeah, because you can't afford it.
Can't afford it.
You cannot afford the families of like 5, 6, and 7 children from our parents, age. You cannot afford. I mean, we have a 6 and 7-year-old. Stuff is high.
And the people who are having fewer kids than anyone else, people who should. Educated professionals are having fewer children now than people who are not. So the people who need to be procreating are not. And the people who are procreating may need to think twice.
Yeah, that's a word. You're absolutely right. I think what we've talked about over the last month has been, just eye-opening for us, just even doing the research, in the sermons, paying attention to your research that you've done, you guys' questions, making us kind of dig deeper into certain things. And, one of the things that really keeps coming up is how important budget is. Everything almost seems to come back to some aspect of getting into your finances, knowing what's coming in and going out, and really setting a budget and looking at it and saying, wow, one of the reasons, just personally, when I was trying to reduce my personal budget, not even the household budget, was my gym membership. I'm like, the gym membership that I like, is towel service. You
have flowers when you walk in.
I
you can't just go to a regular gym.
I just, I like what I like. Okay. But that wasn't in my budget. So you know what I do now? At one point I was working out in the garage, moving the car back in the car out of the garage, working out in the garage, and it was fine.
Yeah, and we invest in our own gym.
It
paid for itself in 3 years. We bought treadmill. We got a what's that bike called? Assault bike. We got dumbbells, barbells, squat
bands, little step aerobics, We good.
Pay for itself.
Yeah.
That's the best thing. You go down there and you sweating, and at least it's your sweat.
Yeah. And you just go right upstairs and shower.
And wipe it down.
That's it.
Well, we hope you all enjoyed it. What a great conversation.
I know, this was great. We did it, babe.
Partner in crime.
Always.
We hope you all have enjoyed it. All right, here at Salem Bible Church, let them know how they can contact us.
So Salem Bible Church, www.salembiblechurch.org. You can find out the latest and greatest about what's going on at either one of our two locations. 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have services at both locations, and you can visit us on our website to look at our services virtually, or you can always visit us on Instagram, Salem Bible Church, or on Facebook, Salem Bible Ministries.
All right. You can join us every Sunday.
Yes, 11 a.m.
11 a.m. in person. Or as Lynnette has said, you can stream with us live. Mark your calendars for All Tithe Day this upcoming Sunday at both locations, Atlanta and Stonecrest. Mark your calendar for June the 18th.
Yes.
Spirit Night at Stonecrest, calling all AKAs, all Deltas, all, what was some of the other ones?
Oh, Alpha Phi Alpha Omega Psi Phi,
yeah.
Zeta Phi Beta, Sigma Gamma Rho.
Yeah.
Even if you me Phi me.
If you went to a HBCU, if you, whatever college, whatever university, and if you didn't go to college, you got a team you like. We're asking everybody to participate with us. Pastor Reginald Sharp of the Fellowship Baptist Church, Chicago, Illinois, as well as we got a special choir, B. Chase Williams and the Shabbat Choir. They're going to be live on our Stonecrest location on June the 18th. Now, before that service begins, we're going to have a networking party where all people are going to come out, and we're asking you to wear whatever your organization is. It can be your college, your sorority, your fraternity, or you can just come as you are. It doesn't matter. It's going down at Salem Bible Church, Spirit Night at Stonecrest, June the 18th at 7 p.m. Don't meet us there. Beat us there. Thank you all. This has been a great month, and we look forward to the new era. Until next time, be well, be blessed. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Bye.